6:30. All board members are present with Jill Nebel attending via the telephone. We will now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome everyone. First item on our agenda is to approve the agenda or changes to the agenda. The only change to the agenda is adding to our consent agenda bills where we need to pay BSN Sports for $1,984.50 for uniforms. So we'll add that under consent agenda. So with that being said,
Out of capital outlay fund, just so everybody knows that's.
out of capital outlay? Okay, great. All right, with that, I need a motion to approve the agenda and changes to the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Moved by Mahoney and seconded by Leishman to approve the agenda with the addition of that bill. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Jill, did you make
Yep, I'm good.
Okay. All right, moving on, we have any conflict of interest disclosures or waiver requests. Seeing none pending, we'll move on to approve the consent agenda. And on the consent agenda is to approve the minutes, accept the financial reports, approve claims, those without conflicts of interest, declare surplus items, 65 track uniforms, tops and bottoms, and 25 old wooden tables. We need to void check number 61433 to the Council of College Admissions in the amount of $40. Approve a contract for Sally Bamer, food services, $11.55 an hour. And accept the resignation of Trenner Campbell, vocal music. The letter was included. That being said, would anyone like to remove anything from the consent agenda?
I'd just like to make a comment, Barb, on the financial report. Congrats to the administration and to the staff on some nice numbers.
Yes. I agree. All right, thank you, John. With that, I need a motion to accept the consent agenda as read.
So moved. I'll second it, Craig.
Moved by Leishman, seconded by Prohl to approve the consent agenda. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
All right, any correspondence or public? All right, we'll move on to our good news items. We have our principals. We'll have Mr. Yost first.
You bet. Just a few to run through. A lot happening around the school that we can, hang our hat on. It's been a good month. But Veterans of Foreign Wars, Patriots Pen winner, Berkeley Zebart, Parks Elementary 6th grader, and she read that at the program, at the Veterans Day program, which was great. The Parks Elementary Student Council Penny War, and this is the yearly thing that our student council organizes, raised $4,201.47, which was unbelievable. So a donation was made to the local family in town in need, and then also we just delivered a check to the Avera Cancer Unit in Parks in an amount of $500 also. So, this was kind of a neat outreach, something new that kind of this pandemic, as they call it, has created. But over 80 students created holiday posters for the Borman Manor, and this was done over Thanksgiving break, so it was on their own time. They were kind of just given the challenge, and all the kids created them, and then they delivered them to the manor, which was, again, a wonderful outreach. On the activity side, Coach Abby Havoc was named the Region Volleyball Coach of the Year by the Volleyball Coaches Association. So all the practicing or members of that association are able to vote. So it's a good honor for our volleyball program.
For the high school end, the FFA District Leadership Development Event. November 23rd and 30th, 3 events advanced to the state level, complete virtually. So we've got some people going to state there. Creed speaking, 3rd place was Alyssa Bartel. Parliamentary procedures, 2nd place, Logan Heidinger, Spencer Albrecht, Reese Reichert, Ashlyn Tapio, Ty Fink, and Preston Mathias. With that, she sent me one today. They had a competition this morning. The FFA Parliamentary Procedure team advanced to the final round. So there's only 6 teams in the state that make it that far, so they will be competing again on Friday for their LDE. So that's an awesome deal that they're continuing on. Employability skills, Casey Guerin got 1st, Ag Broadcasting 4th place, and an alternate was Reagan Weber, and then Casey was also elected to the district for 2020-21 FFA officer team as the reporter, so she's continuing on through that. The Intro to Ag group has poinsettias for sale out there. I believe they're $15 a pop. There's just a few left, so she's using that. They've got that going, and things are going great there. CC Negabar is a state semifinalist for the Coca-Cola Scholarship. There's only 10 semifinalists in the state, so she's doing really well. And this one got brought to me today also. One of the staff members really wanted to give Tony a shout out here a little bit too, with his media kids and what they're doing with Borman Manor. So Tony, can you explain a little bit what they're doing there?
Well, we're just working with, Darcy approached us about creating videos for our residents at the assisted living at Borman Manor. And as of today, we've got 278 videos from around the country. And we're putting that together, and we will have it completed by Thursday so they can start showing it on their closed circuit TVs over Christmas break.
So again, I think that's a real positive that tends to get overlooked too. So
Pretty cool.
that's cool. That's what I got.
It is definitely good news. Thank you. We'll move on to staff reports. Mr. Norden, you want to start?
Yeah, there really isn't a whole lot. We're getting towards the end of the quarter again, so semester tests are kind of winding up here. We do have all of our e-learners coming in for their semester tests, so they'll be taking them within the building. It may not be in the classroom itself, that we do have separate places if there are concerns there, but we do have them coming in, so we'll be finishing those up next week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are our finals there. And then just to give you a little COVID update for the high school, and I almost hate to say this right now because I only have 1 student that is out. You know, we've kind of gone up and down, so I hate being that low. Scares me a little bit that we might make a rush, but at the same time, the student body's doing a great job of keeping masks on, working with us. So at this point, missing 2 teachers, but again, close contact situations that they're working through. But all in all, I think that's pretty good considering what it could be. So COVID-wise, we're doing good.
I'll just kind of piggyback on the elementary side with the COVID situation. We have 10 students right now, all just close contacts though. So, and three staff also in the same situation. But overall, again, and I echo what Mr. Jordan talked about with our staff and our kids. It's easy to kind of get in a rut and not do what you're supposed to do, but you know, there's always somebody there to pick them up and keep them going. So it's been going pretty good. And just a little side note that is interesting. They just had a junior high game tonight, and I was visiting, and it's with the coach over there, and she could not believe, like when she walked into the building and saw all the kids and even the people at the work, table. Mr. Norton was coaching tonight. He got called up to the big leagues to coach junior high girls basketball tonight. But she just she was very impressed just with the compliance. I guess sheer compliance. Just everybody wanting to do the best for our cause. So that was neat. the message is loud and clear, you know, in Parkson, that we're doing the best we can, so. We did, if you did hear, just to let you know, we did have to go virtual at the Colony School last week, so we spent some time where we kind of went back to how we ended last year. So they stayed in their German school, they have a facilitator there, but we did have a COVID case at the Colony, so we did have to close that school for a little bit. We were still able to give instruction. They were, you know, like I said, they were virtual at the German school, but our teachers were still facilitating their learning throughout the day. So I just want to publicly thank the Colony and their people for stepping up and doing, you know, helping us through this process also. So it was pretty seamless, and we're back in session and going full bore there. So I also want, in this, you know, for Mr. Norton and myself, just on the school side, just publicly thank everybody that reached out to our school district for the American Education Week. We had a great outpouring of, you know, of people that, you know, just treats or just notes and things that were done, and it was a good week. It was a good booster shot just to kind of end the semester here. So that was great. On the AD side, it's just constant organization right now. So it's just whether it be our wrestling meets, making sure, you know, right now just with the numbers, just making sure we're following all the COVID protocols. There's some things that have changed, you know, with contests and how we do things. So just keeping up on them. But I'll tell you what, so far my coaching staff for the winter sports has been absolutely awesome, just very helpful, and everybody's just willing to do what we can to make sure these kids can participate in whatever it is they're involved in. So, and we'll talk about the rest later, you know, as far as attendance and things go. So.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Yocks.
Yes, you bet.
Thank you, Mr. Norton. All right.
So my report, I've been watching the stimulus bill in Congress carefully, but that's been a real battle. But it seems to me that they're getting close, very close, as a matter of fact. And there's going to be some dollars included for education. Exactly what is yet to be seen, but all the preliminary numbers indicated it's probably a larger amount than we got the first time. So that'll be something to keep an eye on as Congress works this week. I think there's talk that they hope to have an agreement this week on it. So we've heard that before though as well. So once or if those dollars come through, we'll let you know. The governor's budget, the governor had her budget address last week. It was good news for education. She's proposing a 2.4% increase to the funding formula. Codified law says 3% or the CPI, whichever is less. The CPI this year is 1.5, so she's actually proposing more than what the CPI is and what codified law says we should receive. So we're certainly thankful for that. And she also announced $11 million of one-time money that will be distributed based on the difference between a school district's historical growth and their 2020 fall enrollment. So what a lot of schools, or a number of schools, have seen was a drop in enrollment this year. And it could be for a variety of reasons, but one of the reasons are people elected to stay home and not send their children to school. And we experienced that. Our growth factor for the last 3 years was 0.8%, 2.5%, and 1.5% for an average of 1.6. But for this year, we saw a decrease of 2.4. So we went up and now we're down. So I believe it's those schools that she's looking at supplementing a little bit. So we'll see. I haven't seen any of the language on it. I'm just speculating, but with my conversations with the Department of Education and what I've read, I believe that's how they're going to proceed. So I imagine once they calculate that out, they'll see how many children that involves, and then they'll divide that number into 11 million and come up with a per student amount and distribute that. I suspect that'll be I don't think that'll be an emergency bill, meaning it go into effect right after the legislature would approve it, but it would be July 1, I assume, which is good. The mask mandate. Now, that's one of the things we said we'd talk about every month, and I want to follow up and make sure we're doing that. I think things are going really well for us right now. I think we're seeing, not just us, I mean, the statewide, the trend has been dropping, and that's, it's a really good thing, and I think everyone's happy to see that. Then the vaccine is on board. You heard Matt say a little bit ago we had to go virtually at one of the colonies, and what happened is it got to our staff, and our staff couldn't be in school, and that's what I've been afraid of the whole time. So, I'm thinking once we can get vaccine in our teachers and our staff's arms, a lot of the pressure is going to come off regarding masks and mask mandates. Kids, the bigger concern I think for you guys to evaluate at that point is what risk do our students have carrying that around and spreading it in the general population more so than our staff. I take part in teleconferences every week, 2 or 3, and the last I heard, and this came from Dr. Jeremy Cowles from Sanford, he's under the belief that schools will be looking to receive vaccinations late January, early February. So as we sit here tonight, that's really not that far away. So that's good news as well. So hopefully we can get some solid numbers from the state by our January meeting and go from there. But it's a light at the end of the tunnel for everyone. And I have to, thank our kids. They've done a wonderful job. They're going to pull it down once in a while, do a little cheating with their mask wearing, but for the most part, they've been awesome. And I appreciate that, and I know the staff does as well. And the staff has done a great job. What we're seeing with our close contacts, it's not happening in school. They're letting their guards up outside of school in other places, and that's where those close contacts have come from. And I think they're calling it COVID fatigue, if you will. So we're experiencing a little of that ourselves, I think, among our staff. Daycare. Now, I'm part of the hospital board, and I know that this was discussed at that, and I know John was part of that, and they've been meeting, and I thought I'd have John give a quick update as to what the daycare status was.
Sure. Thanks, Shane. We probably met as a committee about 30 to 45 days ago. The people on the Parks and Daycare Board is Rita Blasius, Mike Maxwell, myself, Fallon Woods, Mary Haig, Amber Friedel, and Denise Leichner. So there's 7 of us, and we've named it the Trojan Learning Center, and we'll come out with an emblem and that and so on and so forth. But part of the big thing is that we're developing bylaws right now. We're put out, if you saw in the paper, we're putting out feelers for staff and a director. We're trying to get a count on kids, because you got to have the kids to make it work. And and we'll also have to recertify, because it's underneath a new name and new ownership per se. It's going to be a nonprofit. So we got a lot of energy on that board at this point in time, and so it's a work in progress, and we'll see where it takes us here for the moment. I don't know if you have any questions, but it's coming.
Yeah.
It's a start.
Yeah. I thought it was good news when I heard it. I thought that this group would appreciate hearing that as well, just because of conversations we've had previously. So that's my report. I'd answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Mr. McIntosh. All right, well, next on our agenda is going to be to discuss limitations on crowd sizes. This is a follow-up to share observations regarding crowd sizes and mask compliance for events, and to discuss if the board wishes to consider limitations on crowd sizes. Mr. Yost, you're taking this?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, I can kind of, just from last month, and we kind of, talked, or as a board, you talked about a little bit, that we just want to kind of put our feelers out and see what's going on. So I just wanted to update real quick. You know, currently, now we did hold our JV junior high wrestling tournament. We had, I don't know, heck, I mean, that was, we limited the team, but it was full. It was one of those that it was, I mean, they're definitely, now, again, bleacher capacity was not, but there was definitely people here where it was, okay, and people chose. There was still room in our gymnasium, though. If they wanted to socially distance, they could definitely get away from people, you know, if they so choose. So that made me feel a little bit better. Now, just current state of it, I just want to let you know that it's kind of all over, though. So just for instance, Armour, we're going there tomorrow night. We get 2 passes per rostered player, manager, coach. So that's how they're running their double headers. They're gonna in Armour. Lennox, we go there now, and let me back up. So then all of the student body can attend, though. So it's wide open for student body. So that's just the adults, and that's K. Their student body, what they're saying, Armour is K through grades 12. Lennox, we go. You get 6 vouchers, but that is including adults and kindergarten through 8th grade. So if you're a high schooler, you can get in, but you have to show your student ID. Well, we don't have student ID, so I'm issuing vouchers to all the high school kids that want to go to that game. And that's a single header. So it's kind of wide open. You know, as far as what people are doing, it seems that if you go east, almost all the schools are vouchers, you know, that they're going to a voucher type system. School size plays a difference. Obviously, the Sioux Falls is already, you know, they've been at it since since volleyball. You know, everybody in kind of that AA, AAA, they're, you know, they have requirements or stipulations, but so.
Mr. Yost, we had our first boys basketball game the other
Yep.
night. How was the crowd attendance for that?
Attendance was down. I mean, if you look at the gate, it was, you know, very average. I think it was 400, 500. Yeah, it was fairly low. Avon didn't travel very well.
I'm mainly concerned with our size, not as much as visiting, because
yeah, we
they
had
do
plenty
tend-
of room, Barb. Just that, you know,
Yeah.
we did. For a single hitter game, we were okay. You know, I look at probably doubling that for a double header, though. You know,
Okay.
on average, and it's.
So what are your thoughts? Do you think we need to voucher, limit the size based on the students, players?
I will just tell you my thought, and then obviously it's a board decision. But like that wrestling one, I mean, am I comfortable bringing it? Not really. I mean, but I don't know. There's just that gut feeling, you know, when you know that you are hosting the event that is bringing people in, which the state, we're moving forward, and we're great. I'm celebrating that we're here, even having this conversation. I mean, we got, you know, we're doing it, and we're here, but.
How many workers were at that, do you think, Matt? I mean, we had,
At the wrestling?
Yeah, there were
Yeah,
a
so we
lot
didn't
of
charge
workers.
any of our, I mean, we had, the majority, 3/4 of our crowd was Parkston, the people that came to work it, and a few there, because that's a big deal for our community, you know, for that wrestling community, so.
you know, when I was there, I felt uncomfortable too, just because of how, but then if you sit back and you reflect, the east bleachers weren't
Correct.
cold.
Yep.
So there was no seating there. I don't believe the north ones were pulled or the south ones. Was it just the west?
No,
The north
the
one.
south ones, let me get my bearings. These were pulled, the north were, yeah.
Okay.
Or excuse me, yeah.
So, you know, a lot of our seating capacity
Correct.
wasn't available, and that's just because of the nature of the tournament. But, you know, I thought it was getting, like I said, I wasn't real comfortable. I'm like, wow, they're in here pretty tight compared to what I was thinking. But then if that same tournament would have been held in a situation where we could have pulled all of the bleachers, I think that would have been much better. I don't know what that's going to look like for our little B, though.
Yeah, I would say, no matter what we decide here, little B, I need your blessing to limit people. there's no doubt in my mind. We have 12 teams coming. 11 of them are substantial. I mean, I think we need to do what we can, because wrestling's a different beast too with their entourage. I mean, you're going to get 35, 40 people just coming with each team just for personnel, that comes in. So I do ask for that, for our tournament that's coming up, in January, that I'm able to limit that. I will tell you, I saw the pictures from Howard, and it was the Wild West. I mean, it was nothing against it, but there was people on top of people. There was a lot of people there, and it just.
So do you think we should maybe limit double headers?
Here's the difference, like that wrestling tournament, what is there, 112 kids?
There could be. They had 92 wrestlers.
So that, if you give 2 vouchers, that's 200 some people. A doubleheader, if we give 2 vouchers to each doubleheader team, we only have 52.
Yeah, I would say 4 per. I think our gym, like if I look at it, let's say we, 20 on average, probably 25 per team. That's what we're looking at.
Yeah,
if
that's
they
what I was
come.
getting at. Yep.
Yeah, probably 25 for a basketball team. So we had,
Participants.
Participants, so if you gave
participants.
vouchers.
So if you gave vouchers, so if you gave 4, I mean, we're looking at.
So I was at the game on Tuesday,
Yep.
and just sitting there watching, one thing I was thinking, to better utilize the space a little bit, and the students might not appreciate this, but can we shift them all the way over into that south section there? That way we have a little bit more area where they usually stand, and,
We could definitely designate areas.
and then if we
yeah.
could maybe pull that south bleacher out for the
Yep.
band or whatever when they're playing.
Yep, and that was we were going to do that, because they're playing a lot of the double headers. We're going to put the band on that
Yep.
south end there.
Okay.
Yep. That's great, though, yeah,
And I was in the north bleachers, and there was ample room there. I thought.
yeah.
Yeah, the only problem with putting them, the problem I've had in the past, because I've tried to get them down there, and that's a really small section. I don't know if you see where
Yep,
that walkway
yep,
is.
Yep.
But we can definitely tell them we want them over there. And for the most part, they do a great job once we get it started. It's just reminding them a couple times, and I think we'll be okay if we want to do that.
And if you explain to them why, that way we can have participation attend and spread out. Otherwise,
Right.
we'll knock the numbers down.
And we want them to be rowdy, and we want them to stand up, and that just, then some people don't want to sit right behind them because they can't see, but, I don't want to dampen their spirit, but,
Yep.
just
All
a
right.
thought.
So I don't know what the magic, I
Yeah,
don't,
what's our consensus here?
I mean, we can sure, I don't know if we try one double header and see what we get, and then we could discuss here how we want to limit it, if we feel, after that first double header on Friday, if we feel like we need to, if you can give us the power, just give me the power to give vouchers after that first double header, if as an admin team we feel, oh boy, or maybe Mr. McIntosh can send out an email after Friday and see who is all here and what you think. I don't know.
Well, I think we almost need to make a decision if we need to do it ahead of, like now, and based on the conversations that we're having, I really do think we do need to limit it. I think 2's too little. I think 4 is more probably what you're looking at. And maybe that's just needed for double headers and
I
wrestling
agree.
tournaments. Not so much for, the,
Now wrestling, I would probably go down to 2 per wrestler.
Yep.
With the size of our tournament.
Yeah.
It's
And that's just for the tournament.
just for the tournament, yep. All of our tries, I think we're fine.
Yeah, I do too.
Even our quads,
Yep.
I can split that gym into 4 quadrants and be very comfortable with
Yep.
what's going on.
and you can pull the ends out.
Yes, and we
yeah.
do on those, and
Yeah.
there's a lot, ample seating for those.
Jill, do you have any input?
No, I think that sounds good. I guess I was at the game and I felt like it seemed pretty comfortable, but that was just a single game too.
Yeah.
It would have probably been
Yeah.
much fuller if there had been a doubleheader, I'm sure.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and keep moving forward, and we'll maybe take a vote. Yes, sir.
I'm with you. I don't think the wrestling tries. My experience is other teams don't travel well for those. So there's gonna be a lot of gym space for Parkston people to spread out. So I'd hate to limit the number who could come.
Yep.
But that little B.
That little B is
I
different.
mean, you gotta look at what the capacity, what do we
Yeah.
feel comfortable in that gym?
Yeah.
And go from there.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, the potential for that one is pretty good.
Yes.
And I've been into it several years, and it's, especially for finals, semis.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It gets full.
And it's too bad, but it's the year we're in, and I you know, we'll definitely advertise the heck out of our live feed and, you
Yep.
know, for people.
Okay.
The one thing we just gotta think of, and this, because it's been an absolute nightmare in my office for confusion, is just what we wanna do with students. So do those 4 tickets or vouchers involve, you know, what age levels? Or are we gonna let any students in, you know, pay, you know, they'll have to pay, but.
No, I like the idea of the students still being able to attend, and then the vouchers are just for anyone else.
And that's my take, because I think if we issue the vouchers, well, we're gonna eliminate some of those kids that don't watch the game anyway. You know, it's gonna be the ones that come with the families then, and we can still let the kids in.
Yeah.
So I guess I am in favor of that, or, you know, the 4 would be a good number that I'm seeing across the board that I think would fit our,
And that's really what I'm seeing at the other schools as well, you know? Your kids need to be
Yes.
included and involved, and, yeah, that's my thought.
okay.
So what are we gonna do, just asking the question, what are we gonna do about if they're unaware that we're doing that and they come here to the game?
They will be very aware, so I actually will send those out about a week in advance.
I'm talking
Now,
even the visiting school.
Yep, I'll send them, so what I will do is I'll count the roster and get the number, and then we're gonna send them wristbands. So actually, so they're visiting, we were kinda anticipating this, so they will get the number of wristbands that they're allotted for that contest.
I think what you're saying, John, will be taken care of because everybody's doing something. So
Okay.
if you're interested at all in the sport, you're gonna find, that'll probably be the question that you ask this year.
Well, I'm just saying that.
How do I get in?
If we have staff checking people there and somebody doesn't have it and they come and they get not happy with the decision,
Yep.
so are we gonna have support?
We will,
It-
so I always have an
Yeah.
admin on duty.
Okay.
You know, there's always an admin person that'll be here, and that'll just be kind of added to the list of what we have to make sure we're helping the ticket takers police. Yeah. Yeah. It's, just so you know, John, and so like ours right now that we have to be vouchered, it's been in the daily data, and then, so it's out in the public, and I've taken a few phone calls just for clarification, which is great. I'm glad they
Okay,
call.
sure.
We show it, so I think it'll just be part of the norm that anybody that's in the sport, like Mr. Dorn said, they're gonna be checking that, or calling me,
Yeah.
or just calling Peg in the office saying, hey, do we need a voucher for this one? You
I
know.
think if our parents are any indication, I know Mr. Bruning's been approached multiple times, haven't you? And I've heard actually 3 conversations today, one with Mrs. Seiler, and just,
Sure.
you know, where are my tickets? Well, we gave them to your kid. That's gonna be the bigger thing. Well, my kid lost the tickets on the way home, how can I get more?
Yeah.
You know,
There you
that's,
Yeah.
and like with girls' basketball, there's a thing going around. If I've got extra tickets, can this person borrow them, or can that person?
Yeah, it was
So-
great. The team actually started a text group. The moms did. So if, you know, so like for Lennox, you got 6. Well, if you're not gonna use them all, you can put on there, hey, I have 4 extra. Does anybody want them for
Sure.
this one?
Right, and you know,
Helping
that
families,
conversation
so.
with anybody coming, I think, is an easy one.
Yeah.
It's just what we have to do. I apologize that you came all this way, but that's just the way we,
So are we thinking that if we start out this 4, if the double headers turn out to be, because we do have Tony's ability with his classes, the video, so I would be comfortable if you wanted to add to that if we feel that the crowd size will allow that. But I don't want to speak for the rest of the board here.
Well, yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely. You know, I think we collectively give you the freedom to gauge the crowd size and see what's going on. And if you and the administration feel that you need to adjust it,
Okay.
you have, I would be happy to give you guys my blessing to do that, as you guys see the need to do it.
So, like in a doubleheader basketball, if there's 4 teams that have 25 or 6 people there, do we really have 800 people at a game? Now, currently?
No,
Ever?
That I'm aware.
rarely.
Because that's what 4 vouchers apiece would be, right? No, 400 people, even 400 people at a game. I don't even know if we have 400 people at a game.
I think it's a good starting point.
Yep.
What I mean is, what happens if we get 4 to the opponents? They're never bringing 200 people. And now we're making our people stay home and the opponents don't come. And we have the people that don't have kids, like an elementary kid that's a 5th grader that doesn't have a high school kid with them, but their kid wants to come to the game and now the parents can't bring them.
Now the biggest, kids can come.
Yeah, all the kids.
I know the kids can come, but what I'm saying is, Avon's, our deal was 400 the other night, right, our gate?
Yep.
Well, if we give 100 tickets to Avon, well, it'd be 200 tickets to Avon, we should have brought in $800, for sure,
Sure.
minimum. Now we're sending 100 of our people home.
The issue
Not
about it
being
is,
able to
Craig,
go.
though, whatever, and they have been very strong, whatever we do for us, we have to do for them. So whatever it is, it's gotta be equal. I get what you're saying, I completely understand.
And we have to limit it based on our crowd. We're not gonna have a lot of Parkston people that would mix in on the other side. So even if they're limited to 100 people, we still don't wanna cram 400 on our side.
No, but you have 3 ends. That's
Right.
what Parson takes
I
usually anyway.
wonder,
I just think about that a little bit. Do we take those tickets and give them to our people if they don't use them?
Right, see if they wanna hand them back in.
The opposing team you're talking? So we would have to ask them how many
I
they
don't know.
want and then
I mean,
try
if
to-
you're giving 4 tickets, 4 tickets seems like, are we limiting anything? I'm not saying we need to go lower or anything, but
would most teams, do you think, if you asked them, how many do you think you need? We're looking at this number, do you need that many? Do you
Yeah,
think they would
I don't know.
go less, or do you think, oh, just some,
we haven't gone far enough.
Right now, it has been a
Right.
mess. Like,
Can we try a doubleheader and see?
yeah.
And let's use the first one and see.
with,
With the
With
4
vouchers
tickets.
or without?
With the vouchers, and let's see. And if it's not a good crowd, or, we wanna make sure they can space, that we have the distance.
well, that's the
It's-
whole point of it,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's, and then if we need to go up to 6, then maybe we can do that. Or, I think what John might have been alluding to earlier is you've got a lot of community members that probably come to these games, that a student's not necessarily gonna reach out and,
That's what I was getting at too.
yeah,
So how do you get that out to the public?
That's what-
If we have vouchers that our
Right,
kids
was
aren't
that done?
using, is there a way that we can get that out to the public and say, hey, first come, first served? We have 19 vouchers that aren't being used for this.
right. And I like that idea, Craig, maybe if we could get something put in the paper saying, students will each have 4 vouchers, and there'll be 100 vouchers for the community, that don't have kids in school.
Well, not the
Or-
I'm just talking, don't have kids on the team.
Right, you're right, that have kids that are on the team that wanna come. That way that they would get first choice instead of, a family with kids already on the team that is already getting 4, coming back and getting 4 more. But, I think if
Wish we
people,
would have numbers of actual
yeah,
How do you
attendance.
do that?
That's why I think you have to go through it once to see what
Yeah.
it looks like.
And we had to physically count all of our people. That's what I meant with or without vouchers, because you got to physically count how many of, wish we would have counted the Avon game to know exactly, because, 400 vouchers at $5 a piece, that's $2,000.
yeah.
We took in $400. Now granted, our people had passes,
Mhm.
but we don't know how many of those people were here.
Right, is there
That
a
actually
way
had
for them to
passes.
hand the pass in when they come through the gate?
Yeah.
And just, yeah, put, the passes are required, and then we could collect them and count them.
I'm talking activity passes is what I was talking about.
Oh.
You know, because they don't,
right.
those people don't pay is what I
But
was
they would
getting at.
still, for this, they'd still have to have a voucher though,
A
to
pass,
use their
yeah.
activity pass too. You know, they'd have to have one of those vouchers,
Right.
I guess, so we could count to see.
I'm just thinking of some of those parents that don't have kids on our teams.
Right.
That were there the other night at your team,
Yeah, and how do you get them?
at the boys' games.
I don't know how you. I don't
So
know
that's
what you
something
do
for you to
that.
brainstorm.
Unless every game, it's a first come, first serve. We have 50 vouchers, first come, first serve. That they come to the office. If you want to come to this game, you
Call
know.
in.
Ooh.
Peg would love to.
Well, I'm just,
Yeah.
no, I'm
Yeah.
not.
I don't know what else.
I don't
Or
know
they
how
can
else.
call you and you can have it at the gate for them. That way they don't have to make a trip and come into the school.
This is Jared. Maybe you just issue a certain amount of tickets and then you have a counter at the gate, and for every person that comes in, you click the counter, and if people show up and want to come in and your counter isn't full, you let people in, and once it hits capacity, take it or not, you don't come in. I don't know, maybe there's a certain way to count how many people are in there, and they have their vouchers and they come, and then you have an extra amount that you're allowed in, that someone can just present and pay to get in. You know, I don't know, like in the mall, they have counters at each store. They have, like, they push a counter every time somebody walks in so that they know how many people are in the room or in the store. And they're constantly keeping track of that. Realize this is much bigger, on a much bigger scale, but your counter would keep it. You just have to have somebody who's always making sure to click that counter so you know how many people are in the gym.
Well, I guess the magic question is how many people in the gym is too many to, you know, you figure, does everybody have to be 6 feet apart, or is there just the families, or, you know, I mean, that's gonna be a,
Well, I'm just thinking 4 vouchers plus how many kids do you take?
the thing is, if families that wanna come, that don't have a kid are gonna find a voucher, I think. Like, they're gonna call me, or they're gonna find a way to get to the game if they really want to.
They gotta know they can.
I think similar to how they're already getting a hold of everybody who's got extra tickets, that's what's gonna happen. I don't know that there's gonna be an easy way of dispersing them otherwise. I really don't. I think it could turn into a last minute, people are coming to the door and then all of a sudden we gotta turn 10 away, or else nobody gets turned away. And I don't wanna be negative Nancy over here, but, or Ned, I guess, negative Ned, but, I, to a certain extent, to me, the easiest, the simplest is probably the best way to roll with this, at least to start with. And, you know, looking at that game, I didn't see a whole lot of people that didn't have someone there that attended. Now, I was sitting in the wrong seat. I was sitting in a spot where we have our regulars always sit, which, and, you know, they just didn't come. And that was without passes. I think this year attendance is just gonna be all over the board. I really do. Now, if we start having a great season, which, you know, Mr. Bruning's gonna do a great job and get us there, crowds are gonna grow. Then that becomes an issue. To start with, I don't know. I honestly don't. And, you know, going to Armour, we only get 2 passes. What is that going to do? And I don't know if we're gonna travel as, well, I know we won't travel as well. But what that means, I don't know. I really don't. And over Christmas, we could have big crowds with all the college kids back and so on. And colleges don't get started again until 3 weeks into January, so that's where the fight kind of begins. But there's going to be other games where I bet you 2 tickets a person will be too many. So
All right, Matt.
What is the fire capacity of the Armory, do we know?
I want to say 1,024.
It's, what, it's we're just shy of 1,300, yeah.
Is it
That's on
12?
there.
So
Yeah.
divide that in half, 600. That doesn't count floor or anything, correct?
Correct.
That's just
our
bleacher
seating
seating.
capacity, bleachers, yeah.
So if we cut that in half, that would be our,
Right,
Theoretical
comfortably
top.
what would fit in there, yeah.
All right, Matt, do you think you have what you need to get a plan?
Do we want to move, is that the 4 route, just start with that for a double header and see what, that's, okay. Now, is it okay as we go into this, just to communicate with Mr. McIntosh and via email, just to email with the board to get some feedback if we need to change?
That would be great.
Or,
Yep.
Well, with the vouchers too, I mean, if you're gonna use that system, I think it's important to stick to it. But if you get to a game where, you know, it's already started, I mean, how many people come after it starts?
Yeah.
You know, if there isn't that many people in there, it happens to be some people without vouchers. I don't know, you'll have to wait from game to game, because I'm sure, like you said, later in the season, the more popular it gets, and you could get more attendance, but that is not the case. So I don't know what the right answer is.
I don't think we'll have a big problem. It's like when we started talking about the whole mask issue and, the busing and the kids showing up without masks. I mean, it was never an issue. It just wasn't. And I think once we go through one game, it'll be out there. Great thought process on it too. And that's definitely what you said, if people come, 15 minutes are into the second quarter and we're not nowhere near capacity, whoever's the administrator on duty might have to make a call. And that's, what we'd have them there for. So I think that's a great question to ask, but easily resolvable by whoever wants to make that call.
okay.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Not an easy answer.
No, it's not, and that's, I think,
appreciate.
I think you're, I mean, it's just, like I said, I'm glad I had time to talk about it, because that first event, I kind of was like, oh, man, are we doing what we're supposed to be doing? But we are, I mean, it's a year to it, so we're way farther ahead than a lot of schools, I will tell you that, so I thank your work, so.
Thank you for your work with that, Ms.
So,
Diaz.
I'm going to put in the minutes, the board decided to limit crowd size to 4 vouchers per participant for games and 2 vouchers per participant for tournaments.
Yeah, well.
Basically is what you said,
Yeah.
correct?
Well, we specifically said for wrestling tournaments. We haven't talked about any basketball tournaments.
Well, I
but
would say if you do,
I guess would,
I'm guessing you would do the exact same thing for the classic as you would for the little league.
yeah, I'm sure it would probably be the same need, so,
Because of number of participants.
yeah,
Yeah.
Should
In
we
the
word
class,
Wouldn't it be,
some-
Matt?
yes, it'd be the same, I think
Change
though.
as needed.
yeah.
For me, I think for that classic though, I think we're gonna put in there, please, so we don't have people hanging around for other games. And that's too bad, but that's just the way
Right.
it is. So once your team
Play
is
and go.
completed, please exit so we can make room for the next,
Yep.
the next crowd,
Yep.
so.
And, yep, Craig, if somehow you can put in there that,
But if you don't want me to put anything, but I thought we needed to put something that people are going to be.
oh, absolutely. And then put some wording that Mr. Yost or the administration has the leeway to make changes as they see fit.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Do we need a motion or anything on it?
I don't know, do we need a motion on that, Shane?
That probably wouldn't hurt, I guess, that way. That way, if Matt gets challenged or we get challenged,
Okay.
we can reflect back to board approval.
Can you read it again?
Well, I just have the board decided to, so we don't need, I would just say to limit crowd sizes to 4 vouchers per participant for games and 2 vouchers per participant for tournaments, with the administration having the leeway to make changes as they see fit.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
I need a motion first.
Oh, yeah, I need a motion, sorry.
So,
Second?
I second it, Mr. Chair.
Moved by Nebo and seconded, or I'm sorry, moved by Mahoney and seconded by Nebo. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thanks.
I always forget the motion. All right, we'll move on next to COVID leave.
Well, this is going to be a little simpler, I think. You know, COVID leave was granted by the federal government, and to date, we haven't had the need for any additional. We haven't had anyone use all 10 days and need additional days, right, Greg?
That is correct.
So, you know, last month we talked about it a little bit more, and we sit here today, and we still haven't encountered that. So I think we just
We,
see what next month brings
Yeah.
again.
the one situation, they got lucky, it was
They got
over
lucky.
Thanksgiving break, otherwise they would have had to.
Doesn't it expire the 31st of
It does.
December?
Yep.
It does.
Okay.
So we'll see if there's any kind of extension in this federal relief bill on that, but it does.
Yeah, we'll probably
That's
be
what some
looking
people-
for it to roll into
Some
something
schools
else.
are waiting to see if they're gonna extend that
Right.
before they do anything. Yep.
Okay, great.
So I just wanted to bring you up to date on that. We still haven't had the needs, so I think we're in good shape right now.
Sounds good, thank
Yeah.
you. Next is to discuss the extra duty stipend.
I gave you guys an idea I'd be bringing this again this month. The latest survey, I ran them off right before the meeting, so the most updated list was on the table tonight for you to look at as to what other school districts are doing. I think there were almost 90 schools listed there, so that's a pretty good sampling, I would say. And whether or not the board is interested or not is up to you. What we're looking, or what we're asking is if the board would be willing to consider providing what is being termed an extra duty stipend for staff. And we're talking all staff. And if the board would choose to do that, we'd also look and ask for some additional stipend for our substitute teachers as well. Craig and I talked about the substitutes and what we thought. The number we were thinking for them was like 150 if they had subbed more than 5 times or 7 times. What was it, Craig?
What's that?
For the substitutes, what number did we use? If they'd subbed more than 5 times or was it 7?
5, it was 5, yeah.
We'd give them an additional like $100 or $150, and anybody who subbed less than that would be half.
Half of whatever
that
we
amount.
decided, yep.
So it was $100, they get 50. But if you're not interested, then
We
we
can
don't
move
have to
that
have
to-
the conversation, but
We could have it 7 or 8 or whatever number of days. We just have had a lot of subs start since we put the ad in the paper who haven't subbed a whole lot.
yeah.
And then we have those ones that have been with us the whole time and the whole semester and been here and through the trenches, I guess.
Right, that makes sense. What are you looking at for numbers?
I don't know. We haven't,
I know you've talked about it.
well, we've talked about a lot of numbers, but, if the board's not interested in doing this, if you look at the spreadsheet that was handed out tonight, it looks to me like $500 to $1,000 gets a vast majority of those. I didn't do I didn't see where the median is or what I would say most differentiated between certified staff and hourly staff, with some pay difference there. I don't know that that's necessary, depending upon the amount, I don't know that that's necessary, but just showing you what we were looking at. Craig, did you bring that spreadsheet with you?
Which one? The one that we can calculate the total cost?
Total what the
Yes.
cost would be,
Yep, I've
yes.
got that.
So if we started at $1,000, Shane, what would that?
Across the board?
Yep.
That was
I
gonna
believe
be,
that was 86,000.
yeah, that was getting up there.
And to review, how much do we have money left from the COVID from the state?
Okay,
What's
yeah,
that balance?
yeah, I can tell you that.
150?
So we did the math, and so the first stimulus money we got from the federal government was $140,000 and change. And then the money we got from the state of South Dakota was 240,000 and change. It was right, the total, I think, was pretty close to 400,000. And we have spent right at,
140.
we've spent 104, that's what we have left?
No, the total revenue we received was 413. Expenditures as of 11/18 when we did this, Shane, was 140,000. And that included the school nurse for this school year, at 140,000.
And did
For
that-
this school year.
Did that include any of the set aside for next school year?
No, that included the nurse for this school year only.
This school year only.
So if you did, so this spreadsheet, if you did the 1,000, which was 86,475, and that included also 150 for substitutes, we would have 41,000 left for a nurse for next year.
Can you set it aside for next year, or will they take it back? I mean,
No, we can't.
No, they don't, they won't take it back. They can't take it
okay,
back.
so they can't.
So you do not have to expend it for this year.
So when you say 1,000 across the board, are you saying for your certified, admin, and classified, and
That was, yes,
part-time?
that was, well, no, part-time would be
Prorated.
half of that.
Right, okay.
Because we
so-
only have 2 part-time people.
And when you say,
total.
okay, and that, so that's not including your cook staff?
No, that
none of
includes
them?
everybody.
Okay,
$1,000, everybody that's here.
$1,000 for everybody, teacher,
That's
admin,
here full-time.
classified, full-time, meaning they get health insurance benefits, because that's, the status of it would be basically.
so one pays your full-time staff.
And if they were here half-time, they'd get 500. If
That's,
they were-
yep, and we have those
If
2
they were here
people. that do that.
25% of the time, they get 250. That'd be prorated like that.
Mhm. That was 86,475. If you went 850, I mean, I can put any number you want in there, 73, I'm just throwing them out, 850 was 73,000, 843, 750 was 65,421. That's across the board. Now, if you wanted me to do adjustments based on
43 left.
classifications, we can, I can change that right here if you want me to.
What's that?
Will that 43 cover the nurses?
Yeah, I think
Next year?
we estimated that about 36,000.
Okay, perfect.
For instance, if you wanted to do different for administration, certified, classified, I have a place for that here. I just ran one real quick. 1,250, 1,000, 750 was 82,000.
This is Jerry. It seems like on that sheet that you emailed me saying that the certified staff mostly was different than the classified staff. Is that the way everybody else is seeing it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that are different and some aren't. I mean, but I would say the majority have some differential pay there, yeah.
I'd personally like to keep all, if they're here full-time, I don't care what classification they are, I'd like to keep everybody the same. This is just me now.
I would
Because
agree.
I think everybody had to work together here to get where we're at with the staffing and the kids that, we're still here. We're still educating kids. And I think everybody had to cooperate. So that's just my, whether it's 750 or whether it's 850, 1,000, whatever number it is.
What's 750, Craig? What would that total?
65,421.
So that would leave us about the same amount for next year.
That would leave us 62,000 for next year.
And that's if we don't get any more stimulus.
Yeah, right.
What's the board members cut? Are we part-time or no?
So you're wanting to earmark part of that for the school nurse?
So for every $100, it's about $8,000. Because I just did 900. 900 was 78,053 from 86,475. So about $8,400 for every $100 that you want to adjust it for.
Jill, do you have any input?
I couldn't really hear everything, but I mean, I'm open to what, yeah, I would like to, I agree with doing something extra. I don't,
We're looking anywhere really between $750 to $1,000 for a full-time staff. And then just prorating it for the half-time and part-time. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I'm fine with whatever, yeah, whatever the group decides. Is there a specific amount that you want left over for something next year? I couldn't hear all that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
for example, if we did $1,000, you'd have about 43,000 left over next year, which would help cover that, which would cover the cost of the nurse for next year. That's kind of what we're looking at for the 1,000. If you go down to 750, it'd be like using half of what we have left this year, and the other half would be carried over to next year. And that's if no other stimulus is given.
I mean, for me personally, I feel like 1,000 seems like a pretty good number just comparatively to others. What I looked at on the sheet or what I'm looking at currently, 1,000 seems realistic to me, but I'm open to discussion.
Thanks, Joe.
And these numbers are pre-tax, like we talked about, and all deductions will still come out of this
Right.
as normal.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can't do much about that.
You know, I agree.
And actually, that 86,000, Matt, includes South Dakota retirement and Social Security.
Oh, okay.
I've included that already in.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be South Dakota retirement, or South Dakota retirement and Social Security on top of that.
I think all staff has done a phenomenal job working through this COVID. I know everybody has given their all, and they continue to do everything they can, you know, what's best for the students in the school. I would agree $1,000 per full-time, and then prorate it based on what your recommended numbers were.
Are you guys okay? Well, so we have the 2 part-time staff members. And actually, one of them you just hired, so it's only started for a month, maybe not even.
We can still prorate that out.
Yep,
I mean,
okay.
It would be, if they were, are they full, is she full-time?
She's part-time.
Okay, let's, just for the sake of discussion, if she's full-time and we've worked 100 days,
Just do it that
and
way.
she's worked 10, she'd get 1/10 of what
Okay.
everyone else got.
Okay.
We can still prorate it in that way.
Are
So she'd
you-
still get something, but not the same as,
Are you okay with the 150 for the substitutes? Because that 86 included that amount in there as well.
the only thing I thought about that is we've got those diehards that have been here 15 times or 20 times, and then you've got somebody who's been here twice. And
Well,
they're
or prorate, but I thought we were gonna
We
prorate
could
those.
prorate that too, yeah.
But I'm just
What's the-
telling you, are you?
What's the number though that you use it
That
from?
150, that 86,000 included 150 apiece for all of our substitutes
Okay.
that had been here at least 7 days when we did this shit, whenever that was.
I like the number of, if they've substituted maybe 8 times during, you know, the start of COVID, at least 8 times or more, they get the 150, and if it's less than 8,
Half,
it would be 75.
okay. That's, what I just wanted, you know,
What-
I'm just telling you those numbers that I gave you included that 150, I wanna make sure everybody
Right.
was okay with that.
So when is the start, or the stop date? When is your 8 days? I mean, when are we gonna, is this as of tonight?
I would say as of, you go back and look as of tonight,
Yeah,
because,
I
that's a
agree.
good question.
because if you're gonna do this, I would have to do this at the December 31st payroll.
Yeah,
Because the 15th payroll, I mean, that was done today already.
And I think it'd be a nice, them knowing it's coming for Christmas would be,
yeah, they need to know that we
Quarterly especially.
appreciate everything that they've done, and we don't make this decision lightly, but, you know, they have deserved it. Jim, you haven't said much, or do you have any input?
No, I'm good with it.
You good with that?
No, I mean, in Harvard, it's like prorate,
Yep.
whichever makes the most sense.
Okay,
I'm okay with it.
and John? Good? Matt, anything? Okay. All right, I think we're ready for a motion if you need one.
Yes, I think we do.
So move. Once you get it written.
Second?
Did you second, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so, move it from second by Leishner to approve an extra duty stipend in the amount of $1,000 for part-time staff members to be prorated. And $150 stipend to all substitutes who have sub 8 or more days this school year. And $75 stipend to those subbing less than 8 days. Does that sound good for you two?
John, you good?
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Oh, it's on me. Okay. Next on our agenda is to approve claims, action items. Those with conflicts of interest, BJ Busing, $26,131.36, and the City of Parkston for $487.60. I will abstain from voting. We'll open those up for a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Mahoney.
And Jill.
Second by Nebo.
Yes.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same
Aye.
sign. Motion carried. With McKean abstaining.
Thank you. Next, under action items, is to consider quarantine changes.
So I've kept you guys in the loop here. The CDC and the South Dakota Department of Health have changed quarantine requirements, or their recommendations for quarantine requirements. And we have discussed this a little bit, and we would like to adopt something very similar to this, except require one additional rapid test for release from, right now it says the CDC has provided 2 alternatives. Release from quarantine after 7 days, assuming the person has been there and that they have had a negative rapid antigen test that was collected day 5 or later. Or release from quarantine after 10 days. What we would like to do is have you consider adopting this, but then adding a second rapid test to the first one. So there'd be a rapid test between days 5 and 7 and another one on day 10. And then on the quarantine, you'd be released from quarantine on day 10 with a negative rapid test. So ours would be a little bit more strict than these recommendations. They would just require a rapid test showing negative on day 10.
Okay. I agree with the fact that you have kept us all informed already, and there's no surprise coming into tonight that this is what you wanted us to look at. So me personally, before we pass it around, I think it's a great idea, and I would definitely vote to, switch to the CDC recommendation, or to the new recommendation of the 10 days.
Yeah, well, ours is a little bit of a hybrid, the CDC and DOH recommendations plus an additional rapid test for each one, both on day 10.
On day 10.
On day 10. What's that, Jill?
Shane?
Yeah.
I was just curious, will that rapid test will be done by the school?
Yes.
Okay, and then does there have to be, do they have to sign something to do that?
Yes. We have to have a consent on form, on file, from the parents.
Okay.
And I don't know that that'll be an issue knowing. The other alternative is CDC recommends going to 14 days. That is still their recommendation. They just gave 2 alternatives. And I think we could give the same. Still 14 days, we have 2 alternatives. 7 with,
I think with the rapid testing, I think this looks good to me. I like it. I think it's a good.
It just provides me with a little bit more sense of security, knowing that we've got that test under our belt. It's pretty invasive. I mean, so I don't know. That's why we bring it to you guys. Maybe I'm overthinking things.
And we don't think we're ever going to run out of supplies. We have plenty of supplies.
Well, as of Friday, we had 132 rapid tests remaining, and I believe we can get more. So we've only used about 28 rapid tests so far. So I mean, there's still a lot left.
Yeah, I think it's a good plan. I think it's a good idea.
And if we run out of supplies, then I guess we'll have to change.
Yeah, yeah.
But we have them here, and we should be using them, I think.
Yep.
If a parent is completely opposed, that's fine, then we'll just continue doing what we've been doing,
Yep.
no different. On the other hand, if they want to come back earlier, we've got some options for them.
Right, kind of leave it up to them. I
Yep.
think this opens it up really a lot for our staff.
Yep, staff too.
Yep.
So that will be built into the policy then, that if somebody refuses, then they'll just remain on quarantine through the 14 days?
Yes, yep. If they choose not to come back before the 14 days, then they can stay home.
Or test, right.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
And the only thing you're adding is the quick test on day 10.
Yep,
Close contact.
a negative, quick
Negative
negative.
quick test.
Yep.
Or rapid test.
Do any of our other board members have any questions or inputs?
So the nurse situation has helped out a bit.
Oh, I can't tell you, John. I can't. You guys, the nurse situation helped out at all?
Oh, the nurse situation?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
been
way more in the high school than I thought it would.
more.
I'll be honest, just the little things.
Yeah, and we're very lucky with the 3 that we have. Once they got comfortable here, they're part of the community, the school community, and they've been wonderful, so.
That's good.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, thank you guys again for approving that. That was big for us.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things, so.
Yeah.
All right, we're ready for a motion. Craig?
Yes.
All right?
This is what I have, to follow the new CDC recommendations for time in quarantine for close contacts with the addition of 1 extra rapid test on day 10. Does that sound correct, Shane?
Yes. And we'll get that out to parents, so let's explain it in a little more detail, but just so they know.
Perfect.
Parents have been great.
So moved.
Moved by Kroll,
Second.
second by Leishner. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Next on our agenda is the superintendent search. We need to set time for a special meeting on December 30th. The board needs to set a time to meet on December 30th. This is the date when the board will review superintendent applications and select the candidates they wish to interview. So if you all look at your schedules. Jill, can you look at your schedule?
Yep.
It's a Wednesday night. I don't know if you wanted to meet at 6:30 as normal time. It doesn't, it's up to you guys, I think.
Yeah,
I have no conflict, that's fine.
I'm off, so I can meet anytime.
I am too, so 6:30 is good.
Okay?
6:30 on the 30th?
6:30, Jill, 6:30 on the 30th?
Yep, that works great.
Do we need a motion for that, Shane?
No, they're just calling a special meeting on December 30th at 6:30. All that work will be done pretty much in executive session since it's dealing with personnel. So at that night, Mr. Oster will bring all of the applicants. It closes this Thursday. He'll bring, like you said, a binder on each of the applicants for you to look through. You'll see all of them, and then you guys can debate which ones you want to bring in for interviews.
That'll be our first time to see the names.
Yes.
Yep.
And that takes us to the next one, if that's, can I
Yep.
go into that?
Absolutely.
That takes us to the next one then, the actual interview process itself. And that is taking place on January 6th. And I guess what I need to know tonight, or what we need to let Mr. Oster, is the schedule. Now, he did have a schedule we put in your packet that starts at 3:15 in the afternoon. But it runs a little bit later in the evening. I didn't send that? Packet?
Oh, yeah, candidate A. Yep.
We had talked, initially, he wanted to start in the morning, and I said, well, that's just not gonna work, because we have school that day, and so the way it works is you gotta have so many rooms. So, you'll have, each candidate will have their own room where they can go and get a drink and sit down for a few minutes and collect their thoughts. There'll be an interview room for the board, there'll be an interview room for the committee. So there's gonna be, that we're gonna need probably half a dozen rooms by the time we're done with it all. And of course, if we're in school, we just don't have that space. So the kids can't be here, essentially. And then if you're gonna have staff on your committee and things like that, they've gotta be out of class. So the alternative is either going after school or having an early dismissal that day. The bad thing about an early dismissal is we're just back from Christmas break on Monday, so you'd have an early dismissal on Wednesday. I think most people would understand why you were doing that, but it's up to you guys. Other things to keep in mind, when it's all done, that night, you will be the last ones in the building, and you will be hopefully extending a contract to someone. And you will negotiate that contract that night. So there's going to be somebody probably driving home somewhere, having to pull over on the side of the road to negotiate a contract with you if that's how it turns out. So depending upon how far they're coming, it could be a really late night for them too. So I guess what I'm saying is from my experience, an early start is not a bad thing in this case. Now, I do realize that you guys work, and you're going to have to take off some work probably either way, whether it's 3 o'clock or 1:30. But it's up to you. I just wanted to see if you guys wanted to stay with that schedule, or if you wanted to bump it up a little, or what.
So if we keep it at 3:15 on the 6th, would you still need an early release?
Probably not. I don't think so. I don't think first candidates are here until 4 at that point.
Yep, it's 4 at that.
So, we want to get the school straightened up a little bit and that sort of thing. So, I don't know that we would need to,
Okay.
but
And so I guess when we talked about, the 30th, we need to weed it down to 4 candidates.
that's what
Right.
you'll do on the 30th.
Right,
Yep.
so we will have 4 names.
Yep.
Okay. And so just looking at the schedule then, if 3:15 works for everyone to be here on the 6th, that sounds fine with me. Jill, will that work for your schedule?
This schedule works fine for me. I guess I would just say that if we're first starting deliberation at 8 o'clock, I don't know, I think this is best case scenario, so it probably will be later than that. That's just my opinion. I don't know if that's early enough to start. I don't know. Maybe I'm not being fair, but I feel like that's kind of late.
Well, we used to have board meetings that went into 10 o'clock. So you missed out on those, Jill.
I we just had one not too long ago. It doesn't matter for me for my schedule. I guess I'm just thinking of, I don't know. Maybe it's not a concern. Maybe it'll be just fine.
Okay.
I would probably tend to lean a little earlier too. This is a full day, and we're starting fairly late, I guess, but.
Jim?
Yeah, it would be nice if it was earlier. I mean, I still have stuff going on at school, so I'm in staff days, but we have meetings and stuff during that time. I mean, I could go a little bit earlier, but not a lot earlier.
Right, I couldn't go a lot earlier either. I will be in Sioux Falls that morning. I personally think 3:15 works fine
I'm
for
not-
me. It works good for the school and will work good for the teachers that will be on the board as well. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty tough to work that in around their teaching schedule. So that's something we need to kind of look at as well. But, I mean, I'm open. John, what are your thoughts?
Good, whatever we decide.
Okay. Well, can I just make an executive decision for 3:15? Let's take a vote. My vote is to keep it at 3:15, and the reason being is so that the school is empty of students and we have the people needed for all of the boards, because as you see, it's not just the school board, it's the parent, community staff, the faculty. You know, there's many different boards made up of a lot of different people. And so the only way we can make it really work, I think, for everybody is for the school day to be over. But again, I can be flexible on it.
Do we need 50 minutes each candidate?
I think what you're gonna find is you'll wish you had more.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Just asking a question. We could shorten that.
I think Tom probably knows better than anyone. He's done a lot of these.
Yeah,
My experience is 15 minutes is,
not.
you know, you
very
gotta
long.
remember that they're trying to sell themselves to you, but you also gotta sell yourself to them.
Yeah,
So there's
a
just,
lot of conversating.
yep.
All right, we need to vote on something. Matt, what time were you proposing?
Well, I'm fine, I'm fine. 3:15 works the best, I'm fine with that. Just-
Okay. Jill, would you be okay with 3:15?
Yeah, it's fine, no problem.
All right, I want to throw out then, do we need a motion? Or, well, do we need a motion?
No, I think I just need direction. Just,
Yeah.
Tom wanted to know, he sent an email today asking us to confirm that, and so we've done that.
I just think it's the best with the schedule, the school being empty and teachers being available. All right, does anyone have any other comments or input to talk about that before we move on? All right, next, we will go into executive session. It is now 7:53. And I need a motion to go into executive session.
Well, first we gotta clear the,
We gotta
we
do.
need to take a recess. That's it.
Oh, yes, you're right, I'm so sorry. We need to recess. It's 7:53. We need a motion to recess?
Nope.
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 All
Start
right.
recess. There'll be no action after
No.
executive session.
Scott, thank you for those pictures.